you threatening to veto any legislation that includes funding for the post office?
No, not at all, no.
So you would sign something that does include funding?
A separate thing, I would do it.
Tonight, President Trump changing his tune from earlier today when it comes to funding the post office, which Democrats are pushing in the new COVID relief bill, making the distinction he does not support additional funding for the post office if it would be used to process more mail-in ballots. As we learned tonight, he has requested absentee ballots, which are submitted by mail, for himself and the First Lady for Florida's upcoming primary. Critics calling the post office a lifeline for democracy as the U.S. prepares for a pivotal election during a raging pandemic. Good evening, everyone. But here in Colorado, mail-in ballots are nothing new, and we are considered a national model. Secretary of State Jena Griswold says the president's opposition to funding expanded mail-in voting amounts to voter suppression. News 5's COLETTE BORDELON taking a closer look at our hybrid voting system, which has drawn bipartisan praise throughout the years. She's live downtown at the post office to tell us about the safety measures in place to prevent fraud in our state. Colette?
Colorado's already done a dozen elections with this current system we have. Our county clerk and recorder says most people here in the state do choose to use those ballots they get in the mail anyways, and he wants to reassure all voters this is a safe and secure process in our state. Mail-in ballots. Now at the center of a heated debate, and the Postal Service has found itself in the middle of it.
The Postal Service will always be here for the American people.
Robert Helmig, president for the Colorado State American Postal Workers Union, says they started feeling the strain after the new Postmaster General was appointed this summer.
Once that mail starts delaying, and it's already happening, it's only going to go worse.
At a time when mail-in ballots have come under fire from the president and others, saying they're linked to voter fraud.
We make it very easy to vote, but hard to cheat.
That's our clerk and recorder here in El Paso County.
We have layers upon layers of safety and security.
Those include a voter database that is updated regularly, checking signatures, and a bipartisan team of people who count them under video surveillance.
We just conducted a primary with record number turnout in the middle of a pandemic, and we kept everyone safe in doing so.
He says in part thanks to mail-in ballots.
Every election has noise. Don't get involved in the chaos.
There's always been controversy about voting processes, and it goes back for decades.
Wayne Williams, a Republican and former Secretary of State, says we have the nation's first risk-limiting audit, which checks to make sure the ballots were counted correctly.
If a state like Colorado has the precautions in place, the procedures in place to ensure a safe and secure ballot, mail balloting works.
Still, funding is tied up at the federal level for the Postal Service over mail-in ballot concerns.
Mr. President, please stop playing political games.
But those we spoke to say you can rest assured your vote will be counted here in Colorado. Those I talked to also don't expect there to be any delays on sending out those ballots. They should start being mailed out on October 9th. Then you have the choice of either mailing them back. If you do that, make sure and send them back at least 10 days before November 3rd, or you can drop them off at 70 different locations throughout El Paso County. Always watching out for you, Southern Colorado. COLETTE BORDELON, News 5.